Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're breaking down one of the most nail-biting, heart-stopping, and frankly, historically repetitive clashes in recent World Cup memory. We are looking at the epic quarterfinal showdown between Argentina and Switzerland at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. If you love tactical masterclasses, late drama, and history repeating itself, you are definitely in the perfect place.
So, what happens when an unstoppable Argentine attack meets an immovable Swiss wall twice? That's the core puzzle we're going to unravel today. We aren't just looking at one game in isolation here. We're looking at a huge tactical collision that has completely haunted one nation and exalted another across two entirely different eras of football.
Let's start with a history of heartbreak. 2014 versus 2026.
To really grasp the gravity of what happened in Kansas City, you've got to look at the eerie similarities here. Back in the 2014 round of 16 in Sao Paulo, we saw a grueling, claustrophobic 0-0 draw that stretched all the way to the 118th minute. It took a moment of absolute sheer genius, a Lionel Messi assist to Angel Di Maria, to finally break Swiss hearts, right at the absolute death. Now fast forward to this 2026 quarterfinal setup. Argentina arrives as the defending world champions, and waiting for them is an unbeaten, highly disciplined Swiss defense anchored by Granit Xhaka and Manuel Akanji. The stakes are much higher. The stage is set, but the tactical script feels almost uncomfortably familiar.
And that brings us right into the 2026 rematch. A fast start, followed by a sudden stop.
Man, the momentum swings in normal time were just wild. Right at the 10-minute mark, Argentina executes this lightning-fast start. Messi whips in a pinpoint corner, and Alexis McAllister just powers a header straight into the bottom corner. It was Argentina's fastest goal of the entire tournament. You'd think the floodgates would open, right? Nope. Actually, scratch that, the Swiss just dig in deeper. We jump to the 67th minute. Dan Endoy plays this incredibly slick 1-2, bursts into the box and fires home a stunning equalizer, the unstoppable force hitting the immovable object. But then just 5 minutes later, at minute 72, absolute chaos erupts with Brielle Embolo getting a red card.
Now before we get into all that red card chaos, there's a crucial number you need to know. 6. Up until the hour mark, this highly disciplined, tightly packed Swiss defense had restricted a legendary Argentine squad to just 6 shots. To put that into perspective for you, Argentina had fired off 19 or more shots in their previous knockout games. That's a massive drop-off. Switzerland was literally suffocating the world champions with ruthless efficiency.
But this brings us to the VAR identity crisis, technical difficulties in the booth.
Because as we know, football is unpredictable. The match was completely turned upside down by this thing called the mistaken identity protocol. Neutrally speaking, this is a FIFA rule that lets the video assistant referee step in if the on-field ref accidentally penalizes the wrong player. Here's what went down. In the 72nd minute, Leandro Paredes was initially shown a yellow card for a challenge. But hold on, VAR steps in, reviews the footage, and determines it was actually the Swiss forward Brielle Embolo who had simulated the contact. So the ref overturns Paredes' yellow and reassigns it to Embolo.
And figuring out this ultra-rare mistaken identity protocol took so agonizingly long, it was as if the VAR booth had suffered a total system overload. Honestly, it was like watching IT technicians frantically digging through JBoss server logs, checking Tomcat XML statuses, and refreshing web consoles just to process a single foul. I mean, it was incredibly technical, incredibly tedious, and it completely halted the game's momentum.
But the consequence of that review? Massive. Embolo is shown a second yellow card for simulation. And because he was already booked earlier in the match, this reassigned yellow meant an automatic red. In the blink of an eye, the whole script flipped. Switzerland, riding the massive high of an equalizer, is suddenly reduced to 10 men with nearly 20 minutes of normal time still left to play against the defending world champions.
Which leads us to extra time déjà vu, holding back the tide.
Because despite Argentina throwing absolutely everything at them in stoppage time, including a curling Messi effort that missed by literally inches, the Swiss clung on. 10. Put yourself in the shoes of the Swiss team for a second. You are exhausted. You're playing against Lionel Messi, Julian Alvarez, and Lautaro Martinez, and you've got to survive 30 agonizing minutes of extra time with only 10 guys on the pitch. The physical and mental toll there is just unimaginable. And you know, they actually survived the first 15-minute half by dropping into this deep, desperate defensive block, completely relying on some incredible saves by their keeper, Gregor Kobel.
But eventually, the dam had to break. And when it did,
It was spectacular. Alvarez picks up the ball, he cuts from the left side and unleashes a delicious curled effort into the back post to send Argentinian fans into ecstasy. That was the 112th minute, exactly like 2014. When it took 118 minutes, Argentina finally found the breakthrough deep in the absolute trenches of extra time. Julian Alvarez's magical strike was just the ultimate release of pressure for a team that had been knocking on the door for 45 solid minutes.
And of course, with Switzerland forced to push every single player forward in a desperate hunt for an equalizer, they left themselves completely exposed at the back. In the 121st minute, Argentina launches a classic counterattack. Thiago Almada forces a save, and the rebound falls perfectly for Lautaro Martinez, who taps home from close range. The late goal puts the result beyond doubt. The reigning champions had survived.
So, wrapping up this entire tactical saga, Argentina takes it 3-1. For Switzerland, it's a bitterly heartbreaking elimination. They played with immense courage, executing a virtually flawless defensive plan until that fateful red card totally changed their destiny. And for Argentina, it's a triumphant, exhausting march forward. They showed the true resilience of champions, grinding down a stubborn opponent to book their ticket to Atlanta.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty massive thought to close out this explainer. With Switzerland out and Argentina marching to the semifinals to face the powerhouse English squad, is the 2026 World Cup destined to stay in South America? Or will England rewrite the script? The stakes absolutely could not be higher right now, and the momentum is seriously building. Keep this match in mind as the tournament progresses, because resilience is everything. Thanks for joining me to break down this unbelievable match, and keep asking those big questions.